Hey, it's AJ Zulu here, bringing you another comparison video with permanent invisibility, especially with the EVELYNN new rework and a lot of discussion that I've been seeing in the forums. And I would like to just talk about what is the difference between EVELYNN's permanent invisibility and DOTA2 hero with permanent invisibility called Riki. Now, Dota2, I'll say, has a very unique position where, looking at it, all of their invisibility heroes and items seems to be absolutely overpowered. But that is just not the case. Dota 2 has placed items and certain abilities from specific champions to be able to counteract the invisibility. Riot has taken another approach to limit the power of invisibility heroes, or let's say the camouflage one, where they have an AoE radius in which if they went too close to the enemy, they would then be revealed. So let's first look at what makes Riki strong and weak at the same time. Well, first off, he's also known as an assassin, but he doesn't kill too quickly. He's also very similar to the League of Legends hero named Shaco, where he has a special backstab called, in this case, Cloak and Dagger, which is combined with his invisibility, where he does extra damage stabbing people in the back. But let's just keep it to the invisibility part. So in Riki's case, and different invisibility, I have here another two enemies to show for. Let's say these two Rikis were attacking each other, right? But if this Riki just came out of his invis, he would turn invisible just like that, even though he's being attacked. Now that seems pretty OP. While in EVELYNN's rework, if she takes any damage, she cannot go invisible for 4 seconds. There's a current rework coming up against minions, but here we're just talking about different heroes. In Riki's part, no matter what kind of damage he's taking, there's very one specific example that does not happen, but basically any kind of damage that he takes, if he does nothing and just stands there, he will become invisible unless the enemy has certain reveal abilities. So let's talk about reveal abilities. I would like to just talk about two. Slardar here has his ulti, in which if the enemy Riki ever shows himself, he can place his ulti on them, and basically no matter where he goes, the ulti will reveal invisible and just the enemy heroes in general. There are currently no heroes like that in League of Legends because, then again, they have nerfed invisibility directly instead of having the counterplay necessary to beat the Dota 2 style of invisibility. Wards as well are invisible to the enemy team, unlike pink wards in League of Legends. I've made a very noob mistake the first time I've played, and I was thinking holy shit, the enemy EVELYNN is invisible. I'll just buy a pink ward, place it in the lane, just the open lane, and if she ever comes in range of the pink ward, would just get to kill her. Little did I know that the pink wards were actually visible to the enemy team as well, and thus they just killed it. And I was like, holy shit, how do you actually counter an invisible champion? Because in Dota, yes, you are invisible, that is very powerful, but you also have to be careful that the enemy could counter you very easily. Such as this Riki here. He may think he's invisible, all safe and sound, but then if he just sees the enemy and then walks in, it's a trap at that point, because he does not know that they have vision over him, and they all can just jump in on top of him and kill him. There's another item called Dust, which reveals the target, so even if he tries to run away outside of the range of the ward, he is still revealed for a few seconds. For the later stage of the game, there's this gem of true sight which makes the hero almost like a moving ward in a small radius here. But if they die, they drop the item. So there's just like positives and negatives to counter invisibility. Because Dota 2 does not have the camouflage mechanic where if you get too close you are revealed, there are still certain pathing where you can like collide into one another. So you also have to be careful where you're walking. If you collide into the enemy team, they'll realize like my hero isn't walking normally. There's something invisible in front of me, and thus they will pop whatever detection they have, place down a ward, reveal you, and kill you. So in Riki's case, what does he have to offer besides his invisibility? First off, he has a pretty decent blink to blink onto targets and get behind them. EVELYNN's E, I've seen a lot of people talk about, oh, she needs E to be much longer range. And that's just how it is. I kind of agreed. There are different types of buffs that people are talking about. So like either one, like Q having a longer range or W giving more movement speed, that's all good. But just one or the other. To me, E, and in the state of League of Legends and how they balance things, having a point and click E might be a little bit too powerful, and something more of a dash and a skill shot like Lucian or Kindred's Q might be more suitable for her. And for Riki, he has this small CC which silences the enemy and slows them a little bit, which so that he does not have to be an assassin killer. He can just be an annoying prick that just goes from behind, puts down a silence cloud, and then be off. Find another target, blink on them, and that's all good. Now the ulti is very interesting. Same with EVELYNN's ulti, making her invulnerable plus blinking her back. In Riki's case, he also becomes invulnerable, but only in place. And in this circle, he gets to attack anyone in this radius, also applying the special backstab extra damage similar to Shaco. But then again, he's in one place. The enemy could simply get out of the circle, and they know that when he's back, they'll pop whatever invisibility revealing items that they have and kill him. This fortunately is best combo with his blink strike. He can of course target this on his own allies to blink to them to safety. So it's more like blink in, do a few attacks, ulti, so the enemy can CC you or kill you, and then you blink out again. So just a very annoying kit for the enemy team to try to control you.
You know you want me.
Okay, so now that I've given you a very brief introduction to Riki and his abilities, let's now look over to EVELYNN and what does she has to offer as an assassin. So first off, she has her ultimate ability that makes her invisible, but her passive here grants her at level 1, where after 4 seconds, if she's below a certain HP based on her ability power, this number right here, she will gain a lot of HP regen. So currently I went for this build full AP, almost full AP, which is not too bad. So if she's under 1,000, 2,000 HP, she'll be receiving a lot of health. Now this is a very interesting thing that interesting direction that Riot has taken EVELYNN, because most assassins in the later stage of the game, so far as I've heard, it's kind of okay for an assassin to die by killing the enemy carry. Of course, it's great if they could survive it, but if your team's assassin kills the highest priority target and they die for it, then it's pretty much worth it, and your teammates carry, or maybe it's you, can clean up the fight by killing their tank, who hopefully does no damage, God forbid, but you get the point. But in Evelyn's case, it's almost like she wants to go in and like burst as much or put down as much damage as possible, and then she like ultis out. Now that's not a good combo. Just gonna say it straight up, that's not the combo, of course. But basically, like after doing the combo or whatever, she has this ulti that would take her out of the fight, hopefully in a safe location. And then after 4 seconds, she goes back into invisible, and if she ever takes any damage or she nearly dies, she has this passive to heal her up almost to full, which I'm not sure, but it's almost Warmox. If you are a tank and you have Warmox, it gives you around 200 HP, but this is 75 HP per second, which is very respectable. So it's almost like you want to go in, do your burst damage, get out with the ultimate, heal up, and then go back to fight. So her first ability, Hate Spike. Oh, and by the way, so this circle right here is the indication for her invisibility. So right now everything seems dark is because she is invisible, which I find is a very cool detail that they added. But as you can see, this enemy here has the yellow eye, which indicates and warns you. The enemy does not see this yet, but it's warning you that you're getting close to the enemy from spotting you. If you get too close, it turns purple, and you have the exclamation mark saying that this enemy can see you and he can attack you, and he knows that you are here. So you have to watch out for that. And the thing that I kind of dislike is the Q is barely longer than that range. So let's just try that again. And actually, after doing some testing, I was a little bit surprised that the range is just a little bit farther than I expected. So right there. And then she has 3 more spikes and activation. Also with the hitbox indication, it looks almost as if it wouldn't hit. So when you hit this, you have 3 more charges to do more damage, and then the cooldown is refunded if you hit the spike. But right now I'm using the sheet to auto refresh my cooldowns at this point. Now her W spell is Charm. This is a very powerful spell which destroys magic resistant tanks, because first off it puts a charm on the target, and after a few seconds like that, it would charm them. They will run towards you and they will receive a debuff, taking out 35% of their magic resistance for 4 seconds. And against monsters is also pretty good, since she's primarily a jungler. You would should never see her in a lane, because also with her Q, if you use this against minions, there will be a longer cooldown, while if it's used against the jungle creep monsters, the cooldown is really low, which I also find is not too great. Makes her pushing power really weak, since you have to like, this is your main AoE spell, and if this goes on cooldown when you're trying to push the minion creep wave, you're basically gonna get nowhere, especially with their change to not have any AD scaling. Trying to build attack damage on her is inefficient, let's just say. Her next damage, there's a whiplash, and then it also applies on hit effects, and it does percentage HP based on the amount of every 100 ability power. So trying to scale this up is quite good. So you have this to take out the enemy tanks and enemies magic resistance, and here it does percentage HP, which it all goes hand in hand. And as for her ultimate, if it does a flat damage of currently 800 magic damage, but it's increased down here, 800 plus 800, 1600 if the enemy is below 30%, which is absolutely crazy. If you're able to like get the enemy carry low, they're basically dead. In my experience of playing her, the only time when I don't kill the ADC, and even in games where I'm not even doing that well, but the only times when I don't kill them is if they're shielded, which is a real cock block. But most of the time, if you get the combo right, this basically kills every single time. So what I'm just gonna show one of the basic combos, which is basically you want to like use this and then try to get in close, use Q, and then run in, and then use ulti to get out. I don't want to like just do it quickly since I'm like not a pro, but it's just basically you Q, you want to go in, and then ulti out, something along those lines. But of course, this is a dummy target. The target, if will see that you are around because of this heart, they can see it, so they will try to run. And if I try to follow, this Q would most of the time will not reach them. And then if I try to get close, they will see me, and then they'll be able to still dodge it anyways. So what I find to be the most successful way to like proc it is like just go from behind, use this, they'll think that I'm from the front, and then when they try to retreat, they're actually running into me, and then I'll be able to just do my combo. Like just about like that. Another way that people were talking about is to use this item, Proto Belt, to, it's like a small dash. It moves you in a certain direction forward. And if you don't want to use this skill shot to hit your target, maybe because there are other enemies trying to block it, or creeps blocking your way, you can try to use this, but the range of the E spell is really small, almost like melee range. So you're like putting yourself in danger just to use it. So instead you want to like maybe use this and then walk a little bit and then use the spell or whatever, but you still have to like walk a little bit. So there's the last one, which is to flash in, which I've done a few times just to, which is like somewhat better or more distance than the Proto Belt. As for the blink going back, I just, there's a lot of debate going around of like this blink causes you not to be able to continue in the fight, and I suppose there should be a secondary activation for that blink. So if you activate it and only press once, you would stay in place and do the damage, but you will have like a half a second or 1 second opening while you're still in this invulnerable state to blink. So it's like press second time and then you blink back. I think that's sort of the best of two worlds. You press once to do the damage and stay in place to continue to fight, or you press 2 times or consecutively really quickly to be able to ulti and then blink back. But that's all I have for you. Trying to compare these two heroes and their permanent invisibility. I plan to go more in depth with like invisibility in general and other heroes that have invisibility and the different counters that Dota 2 has to offer. Unfortunately for League of Legends, as I stated before, there are fewer things you as a player could do to counter invisibility. Is that the invisible heroes who has these mechanics are limited, such as this radius over here, from them like getting overboard. But again, some will argue that it's still not good enough, but that is for another time. If you guys have any suggestions, or maybe I missed some kind of detail, please comment down below. I would appreciate that a lot, and I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.